Alright guys, really exciting news. We just got all of the info that was data mined from Diablo 4, and we have all of the rarest, most powerful items in the game, potentially for certain classes. So, going right over this, what are unique items? They are the highest tier of items that you can currently find in the game. Now, I know that some people may have seen previous videos talking about mythic items. I'm not sure if this is going to be added into a later DLC, but officially, they said basically this was the itemization progression. It's kind of my introduction also to unique items. So, we have our normal, magic, rare, then it goes to legendary and ancient legendary, and we also have sets and we have ancient sets, and there was something before called mythic. You'll notice there's no uniques listed here. I think what they're doing right now is basically uniques are going to be the highest tier of items. Now, they have showed off a few uniques before, and this is officially via Blizzard here. This, keep in mind, was the pre-alpha in development, so these things are subject to change. These are some of the most build-defining items in the game, and I want to go ahead and use this video to kind of serve as an introduction to them. And I do want to go ahead and cover all of them, but in this video, I just want to focus in on the introduction to what a unique item is, what you can and can't do with them, as well as what the current ones have that are actually data mined. Keep in mind, just as a heads up, data mine things are of course subject to change. Some of these have officially been out, like the Butcher's Cleaver. If you played the beta, this item was available, but pretty much there wasn't really any good unique items in the beta as far as I was aware of. Now, let's go ahead and go over the generic ones, and we'll basically explain kind of how to read these, because some of these may not make 100% sense, as this is not like an official post. This is basically someone's data mining, courtesy of Wayman. But anyways, starting right off, let's go over the uniques in the game and what do they actually do. So these are not the same as legendary, just as a heads up. These items are going to be items that you get that you, I believe, cannot change, you cannot trade them, and on top of that, these are going to be the most build-defining items, basically the rarest and best items in the game, potentially for your build. And I say potentially because some builds might not want to run Thorns, some builds may not do certain types of damage, but these are going to be the most powerful ones. The first one over here, I'm going to read and explain it fully, and then the rest of them, I'm just going to go over the unique effect on them. So the video isn't super long, and this way it kind of makes sense. These are going to be somewhat class dependent too, just as a heads up. Not all of these you can equip on every single class, but these are going to be the generic ones, as in like they can drop, or they are going to be more so available to equip, as in like a one-handed sword more classes can use this versus like just the barbarian ones. That's what this video is going to be covering. So let's get started with the Butcher's Cleaver. So it says it has an inherent damage to high life. High life in this game is when the HP threshold is above 90%. It's a one-handed unique axe, and it says generic. It says damage to CC, that's crowd controls. Then we have base crit damage, then crit chance to low life targets, which I believe is under 35% in the game. And then we have damage to low life. And then here's where it gets a little bit interesting, because some of these numeric values aren't actually implemented, because again, these are data mined. But basically what it comes down to is you have a lucky hit effect where when you critically strike an enemy, you have up to some sort of number, and it has a static value. It says 0% chance to fear and slow them for a static value of whatever seconds. This actually already exists in the game. This one isn't really like necessarily leaked and or data mined. This one has been available, but basically these stats right here, we're not going to really cover them. The most important thing is basically when you crit, you have a chance to basically fear and slow the enemies. That's what the special ability does. This one's not really going to be more than likely going to be the best in slot for most builds, but let's go over the next one over here. So Doombringer is a one-handed sword that has a lucky hit up to a chance to deal shadow damage to surrounding enemies and reduce their damage done by some sort of a value. So this is actually going to be one of the more powerful ones. If you are playing Rogue, this could be arguably one of the best ones in slot. And the reason why is if you've played Rogue, there is a set on the talent tree that you can actually gain extra resource if you eliminate someone with shadow damage, which will be very good for upkeep on resource. Next up over here, we have the Grandfather. This is an OG Diablo 2 item, and hopefully it'll be one of the most powerful ones. It is a two-handed sword, and the special ability is it increases your crit strike damage by some sort of value. The other properties on this weapon can roll higher than normal. So my guess is it's going to be a two-handed sword that has insane amount of stats. And this one I'm going to read the stats because it is kind of important. So it's bonus damage, more health, and then all of the core stats, and indestructible, meaning that you do not need to repair it. This stat is kind kind of almost worthless for the most part, but nonetheless, at least you don't have to repair your item here. But yeah, that's what the grandfather does. Which I'm not sure, again, some of these, because it's data mine, we don't know, does this mean double, triple, quadruple? This could be one of the best items in the game as well. Next up, we have the Melted Heart of Selig, which is a amulet. So this is going to have the special ability where it says gain a number of a static value of maximum resource. In addition, when you take damage, drain resource for every static value 1 of life you would have lost instead. So basically, it uses your resource as another pool of HP. I like this. And for some people that may want to build a complete build around the basic attacks, which you can do with topazes, you can get up to, if you're playing Barbarian, 250+% damage. And if you're just using your basic skills for your damage, this could actually be really good. I mean, it's just basically your resource becomes more HP, and since you can generate it, you might be able to be like an unkillable tank. So if you're looking to be an unkillable tank and you want to just do basic attacks, this could be good. Maybe in group play for a ZDPS, this could be best in slot for sure. Next up, we have Penitent Greaves. These are actually going to be one of the best boots in the game for a lot of builds. Okay, so let's go over what these do. So the special ability and unique power that these have is that you leave behind a trail of frost that chills enemies, and you deal more damage to chilled enemies. Why is this going to be one of the best? So a lot of Diablo abilities will do a bonus damage based off of the enemies being affected by some sort of negative effect. A CC, which of course the chill is going to apply, you're going to be able to not only deal more bonus damage with them, but it works with a Sapphire, which is going to be one of the best gems in the current state of the game right now from the last beta. Sapphires, hands down, if you want to be doing the most damage, it's basically just bonus crit damage. If you played Diablo 3, you know how important crit, hit, chance, and damage are, and this is currently one of the best gems in the game, which is Sapphire, which works with this because you're just going to apply CC to them. Now, keep in mind, this is only going to be for melee builds if you want to basically have 100% uptime, because it's going to leave a trail of frost. So if you guys have played Diablo 3, think of Firewalkers for these Greaves. That should be the effect of it, leaving a trail, but I'm sure if you're holding still, it's going to apply it on the ground. If that does apply, these definitely going to be one of the best boots in the game. Next up, this is going to be actually another best in slot for certain builds, specifically Necromancer and Barbarian that want to do Thorns build. So this is Razor Plate. Just with the name, it's probably got an armor with a bunch of spikes on it. So the special ability over here is that it gains flat value of Thorns. So it's because that's the only ability, it's got to be insane. I mean, keep in mind, these are some of the best items in the game. Keep in mind, everything I'm talking about is subject to change, and it's kind of theory crafting, which is one of my favorite things in video games, is talking about, like, you know, build ideas. But obviously, if you're playing Thorns, this is probably going to be the best in slot. Next up, that we have the Fists of Fate. The special ability on this one's quite interesting. It has a bunch of lucky hits. Then it says your attacks randomly deal affix value percent to random percent of their normal damage. My guess with this, okay, because it's Fists of Fate, is it probably can do under the normal amount of damage, meaning maybe it's 0 to 200% damage, right? At that point, you would still have the numbers be at like a neutral area. However, if we look at it at maybe it does 50% to 200% damage, that is still a huge increase. I'm just guessing here, okay? In terms of design, there's very unlikelihood that it would just roll from like 0 to 200%. Because if it's 0 to 100%, then that would make it terrible because you'd still be dealing normal of your damage. So it has to go beyond 100%, and the lower value is more than likely under 100%. They wouldn't be like, do 150% to 200% damage, because it's Fate. Okay, so that's my guess. With these gloves, I don't know if these are going to be good or not. It could be maybe the best in slot. It depends on these numbers. Keep in mind, this is data mine stuff, so things are subject to change as well. Next up, Frost Burns. So what is the legendary power on these? So it has the power where it says lucky hit up to a chance to freeze enemies for a number of seconds. So this could be actually really good. There are a lot of bonuses in the game where if you can like freeze the enemy, you do extra bonus poison. They have a chance to be vulnerable. I'm sure you guys have played the beta. You know, freeze has a bonus for certain build, so this could be a pretty good pair of gloves as well. Again, these are supposed to be like the rarest items. I'd hope they'd be good, but just being able to freeze, if this works on PvP as well as, I doubt it works on the world bosses, but if this works in PvP, I mean, being able to freeze in any game in PvP, it's good. Next up, though, we have Endile's Visage. So it has a special property up to a chance to trigger a poison nova that applies poisoning damage over time. This is actually very similar to Diablo 3, although The Endaros Visage, I don't think saw any like play in most builds. If you're trying to like push GR like 150s, I don't think there's anyone that's playing with Endaros Visage. It's just kind of a unique item, kind of a shout out to D2 and D3. But as far as this being good, I mean, it all comes down to what your build is. If you need to attack a target that is poison, and if it's a very high chance, then this could be maybe build defining. But again, we'll wait and see. Next up, check this out, guys. Harlequin Crest. You guys know that's Shaco. So what does it do? The special ability is it gains damage reduction. This is like, I think it was 0.08 Shaco, where you just got flat damage reduction. But in addition, we gain C number plus ranks to all skills. This is massive because every single build is going to be playing multiple skills in Diablo 4 for the most part, right? So that averages out to maybe anywhere from, like, on average, most of the skills in Diablo 4 give you about 5% increase of flat, like, numerical value per stat point allocated. So if that's 10%, you know, maybe you get extra cooldown reduction, you get a reduced resource cost or cooldown on certain abilities. This could be pretty big. I mean, remember, this is all skills. So if it's like, I don't know, 1 to 2 skills, that's pretty nice to have. And if you get some flat damage reduction, that can be pretty good. Now, what's interesting with this is the first time I've seen something called utility find. Now, what is utility find? My only guess is that is magic find in some sort of different way. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you can find keys. I don't know. You guys comment down below. What do you think that means? Because keep in mind, this is in the data mine here. But what's interesting here with the Shaco is we actually have CD reduction, so that's cooldown reduction already built onto it. So this item can be very good. Maybe extra charges too with the extra ranks to skills. So I think this could be, it's probably still going to be arguably one of the best items in the game for sure. I mean, being able to get ranks to all your skills, damage reduction, potentially magic find and cooldown reduction, and it says health greater, so it rolls with extra health, maybe beyond what like a high tier roll can actually roll. So next up we have these pants called Temerity. So it says potions grant move speed, and then on top of that, the special ability, which is the most important one over here, it says effects that heal you beyond life grant you a barrier up to some sort of current of your maximum life, and it lasts for set duration. So there are certain builds that require barriers, right? And I know with the rogue, you can actually heal yourself, and this is any effects. Now, I'm wondering if this also counts with potions, because there's an amulet that you can get, and this was in the beta, that would give you about like 30-ish% bonus damage if you just had a barrier. Now, if you're able to upkeep this throughout the whole course of the game, because you have these unique pants, I mean, that's 30% bonus damage. That's not bad. I think that that is very good. Now we have Mother's Embrace. So this is going to be a unique ring. I'm not sure when we're going to be getting this. I don't know if somehow in the story. I don't really want to go over spoilers of story here, but I mean, that's the name of it. So let's see what the heck this does. This gives, if a skill hits, it's some sort of value or more enemies, maybe 2 or more enemies, the what does it say? Random affix value of the resource cost is refunded. So if maybe you're hitting a lot of enemies, you get a sort of resource cost refunded to you. I think this could be good for a lot of builds as well, just because you have more resource. But next up over here, we have another ring. So this ring over here is called the Ring of the Starless Skies. So what does it do? It says each consecutive skill cast reduces the resource cost of your next skill by up to a maximum of some sort of value. So if you're continuously spending energy, it's going to reduce it. Now, are you going to be able to reduce this to a huge amount to the point where it costs 0? I don't know. With channeled abilities, does it work on each tick? Does it work on each cast? Because this could actually be pretty big if you're somehow able to, I mean, either way that you activate it, if you think about it, if you have this get better and better as you continue, if you're playing Barb, you can maybe maintain your whirlwind the whole time. This could be very build defining. Now, these aren't all the uniques in the game, but I wanted to go ahead and serve this as a video to kind of give you the idea on what the most powerful and rarest items do in the game. At least as of right now, I'm pretty sure these are the rarest. I mean, currently Maxroll says that the rarest, and I trust Maxroll, but on top of that, like, if you guys have played the beta, these are very, very, very rare. And as far as I'm aware of, there's no mythics in the game. But these items are going to be very powerful. There are more, and I will cover them based on the class. So I'm going to do more videos going over the explanation of these, but let me know, guys, your thoughts on the unique items. But there's going to be like basically what I want to do for this video series is I'm going to do part 2 will be all rogue unique items. Then we're going to do barbarian because there's a lot more, but these are going to be the ones that every class may be wanting to use. But let me know your thoughts on some of these down below. Which ones are you guys most excited about? Definitely let me know. But I'm most excited about actually this Thorns one, because if we can make a really cool Thorns build, it's going to be content. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell if you'd like to see more, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.